You are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of Woo! Dizzy boy! Welcome, my friends. Actually, it's okay, now it's friends. To a show that apparently, seemingly never ends. You know, Kid Nate listens to every show. Not because he enjoys the shows, but because he said, I want to keep both of us from getting fired. You know what that means, right? That means I've gotten into this rarefied space where pretty much anybody can tell you anything and you go, yeah, I can see that. Man, I saw a guy eating poop out of a garbage can and it was Eugene. Man, I was hanging out with Bill Clinton and Eugene shows up. I can see that. There are a couple of things that you should know that will never be associated with the name. However, before this show starts, round number 324. I'm on my way to nowhere. I'm taking a real good look at you. Taking a real good look at your face. Of being paid back in full, always nothing. All right. So that's Stigmata from Calling of the Just. The song is called Intro All of Nothing. You want to buy it? Revelation Records down in Huntington Beach, California sells it. I know they sells it. The guy Adam Lentz just told me they're doing well selling it, so you can get it there. This is Knuckle Up, round number 324. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson. And daylight savings time or no daylight savings time. I got up early last week to do the show, and it's a little bit earlier than the late night because I got some stuff I want to do later on today. And yes, includes tango and a horror movie called The Witch. If you've seen it, don't fucking text me during the show and ruin it. I'm looking forward to it. A guy I know, trust his taste, said go see it. I'm going to see it. All I know, it's called The Witch. It's a horror movie. As long as it doesn't star Nicole Kidman, I'm fine. Anyway, I got up early last week for the Conor McGregor UFC 196 show. And, I try to keep the shows to an hour. Those of you who have caught my act in the old days when Knuckle Up was on Combat Music Radio know I can go, or KFJC Radio in Los Altos Hills. No, I can go on for 3 hours. I'd never stop. I would have a talkathon with Joe Rogan in a second. Like with Mr. Marcus, the porn star, and I challenged him to a fuck off. And then I realized that's crazy. But anyway, you got to make the challenge. So in other words, though others might have exhausted it, I have not exhausted it, specifically because moments before this show happened, Kavanaugh, Conor McGregor's coach, kind of came out and said a few things that opened my eyes in a really potent way to what everybody sort of missed. And he said, yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Conor on that. Nothing I hate worse than a yes man. Isn't that right, Kavanaugh? Yes, sir, Conor McG. And he said, well, Conor was really right. He was lighting Nate up the first round, but because he was so inefficient with his striking. Look. Let's go back to the Kevin Randleman discussion. You know, whether a guy dies from a heart attack or a guy dies from heart failure, in any case, a guy is dead, and he's dead from the same thing. The heart stopped working. Call it inefficiency. Call it whatever you fucking want to call it. You got to pay, like Bob Dylan says, to keep from going through all the. You got to pay to keep from going through all these things twice, Dylan says. And the reality of it is, you know, they can Monday morning quarterback all they want, but like the gates of heaven opened up and I could see the light and the shining and hear the angelic choirs. I saw in this moment that something strange had happened. And what had happened was I finally figured out that Connor McG and Connor McG's and the team of Connor McG, they weren't acting like they believed. They really believed. Now, which shunts it into the arena of self-delusion. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to be. You know, there's some people, some countries, some stratagems, some techniques. You know, where people like the aw shucks guy. Oh shit, not Sage North, but yeah, you know, oh, I'm never gonna be good at this. I remember being 7 years old and watching this jamboree of 7-year-olds stumble over themselves to be self-effacing because I guess somehow their parents had convinced them that it was a humbler, modest virtue, modesty, and they were like, "Oh, your drawing is much better than mine. Oh no, my drawing is terrible. I really can't draw at all." And I go, "How disgusting!" Because none of them mean that. At 7 years old, somebody comes up and says, "Eugene, your drawing is great." I go, "I know." You know, and this set up a lifelong pattern. My mother would say, "You realize you're such a handsome boy?" I go, "I know." You know, there was no problem with self-esteem. You know, all these people run around. I don't know if I'm good enough. You know, look, in the midst of being knocked out by Chris Sanford, my first MMA match, I stood up from the mat and said, "Take your hands off me. I'm fine." Then he choked me out. And how do you say fine to getting choked out? You really can't. It's more like, oh. But I stood up from that mat and go, "I'm better than him." That's the kind of self-delusion. You know, you can't, it's like high octane gas. Don't give me 70% of self-delusion. Give me 100% of self-delusion. When I lose a fight, I am deluded enough so that the excuses that a Connor McG and a Kavanaugh are making, you'll never find me saying, "Oh, well, the reason Chris Sanford knocked me out was because I used my head movement inefficiently." You see, I was looking at his feet and noted that he was a southpaw a little bit too late. And it was just because what you're trying to do is put a logical frame, forget logic. You were trying to put a framework that controls the chaos that was your accidental cock up into something manageable in a box. You're right here. And that allows you, I can put that box on the shelf there under lessons learned. And the next time I fight at 169, I'm going to knock his block. Whatever you want to tell yourself, Jack. Keep in mind, I'm a big Connor McG supporter. But at the same time, nobody has a better handle on self-delusion than I do. And it's stunning self-delusion because it's self-delusion in the face of a stunning awareness of reality. I mean, that is why you guys are trying to think, you're going to hurt your Eugene. Haven't you figured out you're in the Lost Battalion? No, man, I'm running the Lost Battalion. I am, if you look around you and you're talking to me, you know that you are in the Lost Battalion. There's no other way, except only one of us knows where they are. So this thing about Kavanaugh, oh, he's inefficient. He's got to put his stutter and mutter and prick you. Stop it. Like I said, the only way, like Mel Gibson in Road Warrior, you guys want to get out of here, you come through me, sugar tits. Well, he didn't say that. You guys want to escape from the crafty Jews. You come with me, sugar tits. That's what he said. Because the reality of it is, the only way out, like we talked about, and I did it, and I know all of you don't watch all the shows, but and I did it. I said, the way out for Conor McG at this point is to double down hard, you know, because you create, much like an octopus or a squid, you create inky confusion. You create inky confusion beyond which you can escape and get to a point where you're making sense to yourself in some way. Whether it's the Eugene Robinson 120% delusion, I'm better than him. Well, he just knocked you out and then he choked you out. Whatever, man. Well, you think that means he's better than me? Well, are you saying he got lucky? He got luck? Nothing. I'm not talking about luck, chance. I'm talking about between the two of us, only one of us is a man. Well, he's got a cock and balls. You got a cock and balls. It seems like you both fit that biological qualification of man. Like, I'm not talking about that. What are you talking about? And then there's that quiet moment where I just look at them and go, what are you doing, Eugene? Silently judging you. Which I stole from Magnolia. I mean, the point is, he's going to have to do a little bit better than that. Kavanaugh, if they're going to, and this is where you fuck up, because I can see now that your self-belief was not tinged by reality. Is always a terrible brick wall. The ESR maximized self-delusion theorem. To get there, you have to get beyond the brick. Once you burst through, like Jim Morrison said, break on through to the other side, that brick wall of reality, there's no bounds to where your self-delusion can go. You know, I'll give you a prime example. He was saying, oh, Fabricio Verdum hurt his vagina, that's why he couldn't fight. I mean, sorry, his foot, that's why he couldn't fight. It's the guy who fights at featherweight calling out Fabricio Verdum. You know, Jake Shields said it best. He said, listen, you know, I'm glad Nate took care of this, because the reality of it is, you know, I'm just in there helping Nate out. You want to call me out? You're not my weight division. We're fighters. What do you think we're going to do? I'm going to fight you next time I see you. And if you think that's a joke, you're wrong. So what Conor, so finally, the clouds part, and I look up and I can see Conor has really believed this stuff. Look. There are two types of believers in Scientology, right? There are guys that come in and answer all the questions on the 500-word questionnaire. They think about them, they mark it down, they write it, they send it in. Then there are the types of people that come in and answer the questions at random, just fill in the boxes. And then there are the types of guys there whose belief extends beyond belief into that gray zone. That's L. Ron Hubbard. You got to be L. Ron Hubbard. Don't be John Travolta. Don't be Tom Cruise. Be L. Ron Hubbard. I've got from good authority. I'm friends with physicists. I don't know if you read my piece on Ozzy, on Scott A. Walter, French philosopher and physicist, history of science. But through my connections in the physics community, as well as connections to Uri Geller, a lot of guys talked about, and Robert Heinlein talked about back in the old days when all the sci-fi writers used to hang out. L. Ron Hubbard being one of them. I'm not going to look, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Scientology just finally got their tax exempt status removed. I know it's a tough time for the Dianetics crew right now. So Conor McGregor, John Kavanaugh, they're sitting around thinking that there is a way. Look, I like the deck chairs, man. You know, it's like Dagwood and Blondie. You're moving the couch here, you're moving the couch there. I got it. You know, and the fact that you were a true believer really warms the cockles of my soul. But let me tell you, true believers like a Ted Cruz and a Marco Rubio, man, I don't have any patience for these guys because you can't work with them. Cynical opportunist. Who's a cynical opportunist? I'll give you a prime example. Chael Sonnen. This is the difference. This is the difference. Chael Sonnen said it, but using the principles of neuro-linguistic programming. Look, if you say something long enough, NLP style, people start to believe it. But it's all. But you have to be conscious of the fact that what you're saying is maybe not exact. I'm not saying it's a lie, but maybe it won't come true. Which means that you got a 50% of coming. Why the fuck is everybody surprised? Like Nick said immediately post-fight, are you surprised? What do you say? Are you surprised, mother? Is that a surprise? They're stumbling around like they're surprised. So now the interesting game now that we all know, I mean everybody, everybody. Now that everybody knows that McG was a true believer. Like if you want to go back to East of Eden and James Dean, and he drags his brother out to the whorehouse in Salinas and says, you want to see your mother? There's your mother. This is what happens to true believers. They fucking collapse. They fall apart because the wall of sand, it's like the gates of Jericho, the wall of sand that they're surrounded with, it just sinks. Because doubt was never part of the strategy. You know, the whole Hitler thing of hysterical blindness on the hill, moment of revelation, providence reveals itself, you go down, I will take over the world. Never factoring in doubt, because doubt is for losers. Only losers have the doubt. Losers have the doubt. And so, but I'm going to go beyond. You know, I mean, you got, and it's not like it hasn't been done before. I didn't create this. Did you see? Let's go back to Matt Hughes and Gracie, Hoyce Gracie, and he lays there with his arm, and you see Hughes has got him in an arm bar, and Hoyce has gone to his quiet place where he has resolved to let the arm get broken. I mean, the rest of us look at it that way. The rest of us look at it like, you know, that his arm, you know, he's making a decision. He's going to get his arm broken. You know, it's like when Henzo got his, and my buddy asked Henzo, what do you think? He goes, my kids were in the audience. He's thinking 4 or 5 chess moves ahead. I'm trying to think of what moves I'm going to pull off with the remaining arm. I'm not thinking about the fact that my arm, forget it. This is life and death. This is why this is my life. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. Nothing. So you get Conor McGregor is now been revealed to be a true believer. And a true believer, I mean, the odds were fucking crazy. And you watch his face. I've been watching the whole section of tape like the Zapruder film. Watch the Zapruder film. I mean, not the Zapruder film, but watch this fight. It's not much. It's the first round, the second round. You watch it, and you watch his face, and the audience screams, and you see him, you know, much like Hitler, you know, or Donald Trump, or whatever person who has an intimate emotional relationship with the audience. The collective dreams of the audience. Like the Beatles said, I am you, and you are me, and he is us, and we're all together. The audience cheers, and you know, there's some guy, like when Josh Koscheck used to come out and the audience would boo him, and you could see he'd go like, but he was actually really bothered. And that to me is just as disturbing as a Conor McGregor who is actually breathing in the support of the people. Like De Niro says in Cape Fear, I am as big as God, and God is as small as me. This audience is caged. None of this means anything on my march to greatness. That's correct self-delusion. Oh, the people, they love me. That's incorrect self-delusion, and there's a difference. So he goes into it. Now everybody's now. I'm not gonna fall for this hypnotic. Oh, he had the first round. He came out really strong the first round. He was really, watch it, frame by frame. Frame by frame, what he had the first round was a slow car crash. Because the guy's not going to rush me. Okay, I come in, I got to pay some price. I'm not, my high-flying karate kicks are not baffling him. It's like the joke. You know, the Italian army is getting ready for World War II. Going to fight with the Nazis this time. Training camp. He says, okay, you know what? We don't have any guns, okay? So we are just going to make a believe, okay? So you see the bad guy, and what do you do? And the sergeant goes, I'll tell you what do you do. You go, a banger, you know? And then he's a steal the car, then you get to your bayonet, and you go, a poker, you know? And then that doesn't work, you use a grenade. We don't have any grenades, so you use it. We just make a believe with a grenade, and then you go a boom, and I better go after me, go a boom, and then all the recruits. And so now it comes time for the real battle, you know, and soldiers will run out there and they go, a boom, and the Nazis are still coming. You go, oh shit, a banger, and the Nazis are still coming. He's like, oh shit, and they get closer, and he goes, a poker. He goes, hey, why you no fall down? And the German guy goes, tank. Sorry to do that to you. I'm sorry I had to do that to you. That's why I'm sitting here and you're sitting there. Nate Diaz was that fucking tank. You know, he's doing the spinning kick. I don't care. And he's doing this. I don't care. It's not computing. This is what happens. And this is where Nate had made a clever point. This is what happens when you train with a good team. Have you ever trained with somebody who's a professional? Nah, son. Some guy I had a dinner party last night. Some guy is trained in Arizona with Henry Cejudo. He's like, Henry Cejudo's a fucking prick. I go, well, why you say that? He seems like a nice guy. Henry Cejudo used to roll into our spot. It was when he was about to transition from wrestling to MMA. Would roll into our spot and lay waste to all of us. I mean, guys much bigger, cracking us on the head, throwing us on our necks, suplex, just really brutal. Go through 14 of us like this. And then he would leave. Then he would jet. So all benefit his, we got nothing. That guy's a prick. If you train with guys like Jake, with Gil, with Nate, with Nick, you know, that 209 team was Scrap Pack. Gil just opened up a store, I guess, up in the city, uses time profitably to wait out his suspension. You know, these guys are not fucking around. They're not trying to preserve your feelings. They're going hard all the time because they're vying for a seat at the table. You got guys in the park who are yoga fans. That's another story. I have to say it again. I'm a Conor McGregor fan. I just need to get him to that place of 120% self-delusion where I am, where something like this, somebody will say, and you're lost to Nate Diaz, and you'll say, what? They say, you're not lost to Nate Diaz. You go, what? You're lost to Nate Diaz. I go, I'm sorry, I don't follow you. Did you or did you not lose to Nate Diaz? Who's Nate Diaz? That's Eugene style. I'm not willing to, the systematic denial of the reality of experience, that's what I'm talking about. So either you watch the film and I'm seeing a guy swing and miss. Swing it, you know, I'm seeing him whiff. And each time he does, I'm seeing it weigh heavily. And the coach Kavanaugh did say that. He goes, you know, he's trying for the big shot, and all of a sudden you see Chuck Liddell emerge. You know, he's got one big tool, a big left hand, trying to set it up. You see a Dan Henderson, one big hand, trying to set it up. And when it doesn't work, you go, plan B? Well, I've never needed a plan B before. Never needed a plan B, huh? You know, like Eddie Murray, who is it? Chris Rock said, show me somebody who's never had their ass kicked, and I'll show you somebody who needs to have their ass kicked. You know, you look at Nate's record of 20-10, and you think, well, Troy, that's not that great. He's lost half of his fights. No. He's won twice as many fights as he lost. That's the right way to look at it. The lessons you take away, yes. Sorrell, the lunatic Sorrell did say the things that you break when you lose are sometimes never fixed. That is the case. But it just depends where on the belief continuum you are. You know, there's some guys down here, no belief. Sometimes these guys can be great fucking fighters because they don't want any outside influence to kind of confirm their total lack of belief in themselves. Sometimes you have great artists, like who Bob Dylan used to fucking call up somebody, some other singer, like, oh, John, he used to call it John Cougar, John Mellencamp, sorry, and say, hey man, could you help me with this lyric? I mean, yeah, okay, Joan Baez says that Bob Dylan's the biggest crock of shit, the total biggest phony she's ever met. Whatever, I like the guy's lyrics. Nick Cave might be a phony too. I also like his lyrics. Same with Tom Waits. They write well. I respect this. He's like, did Bob Dylan's call me, ask me for help with a lyric? So on the belief continuum, you have like no belief, and then you have 100% belief. Well, Conor McGregor is probably 106%, and then you got the Eugene Robinson thing. That's me over there. 120% belief. Like that commercial they asked me to do. Hey, can you drive a powerboat? Yes. Can you drive a high-speed powerboat? Yes. Can you drive a high-speed powerboat over in a river? Yes. In the rapids? Yes. Over rocks? Yes. While being shot at? Yes. They talked to a stunt coordinator and said, this guy is nuts. Don't have him do the commercial. And they canceled the commercial. It was too dangerous. 120% belief. You know, could you let him out? He's farting here on my face. So Popeye's on strike. So now for those of you who hate this, now you get me to eat on the show. It's bad enough I have to look at his nostrils and I have to watch him eat. Yeah, well, it's the middle of the day. You're lucky I'm not in my bathrobe. So now the sky has parted. We see that Conor McGregor is at 100% belief, which means he's never left room for the possibility that he could lose. And now he's lost. Did you watch him after the loss? He's walking around shaking his head. He's walking around shaking his head like the same way you'd be shaking your head if, I don't know, if Jesus Christ walked in and sat down next to you at the cafeteria. Hey, Jesus, how things going? All right, my hands still hurt. My feet hurt too. That's great, Jesus. That's wonderful. Jesus Christ just sat there next to me. I mean, so now he's walking around shaking his head. And Nate says, now keep in mind, the belief thing shifts. Now Conor is he's in this space where, was my belief misplaced? Can I logicize my way outside of this belief and figure out that it was efficient? It was an efficiency issue. What do I do with this belief? How do I place this belief? How do I work on where I was, and how do I get back to? I know I'll go to back down the featherweight. I'll make this tough cut. Like Nate says, I'll go back to fighting midgets. Oh yeah. Which midget exactly? The super hot shit wrestler, Frankie Edgar. You see, Conor McGregor has cast a road for himself that would be easier and now sufficiently harder given his 100% belief system. When I thought he was more like me at 120%, I figured, fuck it, this is great stage management. He can't lose. He can't lose. If he wins this fight, he's golden. If he loses this fight, he's bought himself vulnerability. That's what I said last week. But that would mean cynical opportunism. The cynical opportunist says, well, if I win, this happens. If I lose it, you got to understand that part of the equation Conor McG never got to. He never got to if I lose. Meaning he never considered it. Meaning he didn't purchase vulnerability. He may have stuck it in his backpack. He may have found it in his backpack. It's like the guy walking out of the store and the alarm goes off. I don't know how that your merchandise got in my bag. that T-bone steak, I don't know, and the bottle of champagne. I don't know how it got from the shelf in my bag, and now the alarm has gone off. I don't know how this happened. That's Conor McGregor trying to explain how the bottle of champagne in his backpack got there as he leaves Safeway. And this whole week, it's been nagging at me and nagging at me and nagging at me. And I go, oh my God, with Kavanaugh's thing today, he really didn't see this coming. Did not see it coming. How the fuck could you not see it coming? You know, I say that, and I live in a country where I don't have the stats in front of me, where high numbers of human beings get hit by trains. You know what? A lot of things could happen to me as I sit here and do this show. One of the things that's not going to happen, I'm not going to get hit by a fucking train. I can't, if I go 10 feet this way, I could healthily make the claim I might get attacked by a puma. They say they're around. I don't see them. Mountain lions, I don't see them. But you know, 10 yards this way, I'm not going to get hit by a train. Okay, let's expand a little bit. 100 yards from where I'm sitting right now, I'm still not going to get hit by a train. In fact, I probably have to go about 2 miles before the possibility of me getting hit by a train increases significantly. Now, I'm not an engineer, but if you take the space between those fucking tracks and somehow divide it by all the space outside the tracks, you can see that the likelihood of me getting hit by a train is really fucking low. And yet, it happens all the time. And I'm not being a dick about this. My great-grandfather was hit by a fucking train. I was 9 or 10. Okay, it was his birthday, and he was drunk. That was his excuse. So the fact that Conor McGregor didn't see this coming, only went to 100% belief, is a true believer and not a cynical opportunist, was not actually purchasing vulnerability, but actually really lost this fight, means he really lost this fight. Meaning all bets are off based on what I said last week. I have no idea what this guy is going to do because he's fucking crazy. How could you go in there? And I can tell you a lot of things. A lot of things. Again, if you're standing on the railroad tracks, you're going to get hit by the train. You go in the cage, somebody's coming out a winner, somebody's coming out a loser. That's all. That's it. Those are the parameters of the fucking sport. You know, so I wish, if I thought he was a cynical opportunist, I could tell you right away what he does. A cynical opportunist doubles down, starts going nuts, starts taking pictures of Jose Aldo and rubbing them on his balls in press conferences, starts taking cutouts of Jose Aldo's wife and start getting sexy with it on TV. You double down, you go crazy. You go crazy because you got to know nobody's about trying to pay you $10 million a fight. Nobody wants to do this. Yeah, it's $1 million in disclosed income, but you know, Monster, Reebok, there's a lot of other guys with trucks backing up. So if I'm a cynical opportunist, I double down. I start picking up Jose Aldo, and I don't let pride, like they say in Pulp Fiction, pride hurts. You know, Jose, and if I'm Frankie Edgar, I'm doing the same thing with Conor McGregor. I'm talking about his girlfriend. I'm talking about, I'm making a big stink. I'm drumming up this fight. So when I turn to the Baldwin and I say, 10 mil, baby, he goes, all right. Because everybody learns something. Everybody who's not a true believer learns something from this fight. That means specifically the cynical opportunist. There was a great editorial on Bloody Elbow on Sunday where a guy was saying, not Bloody Elbow, it was Sure Dog. The guy was saying, why is Dana not happier? Why is this man not smiling? Well, you know, I mean, certainly this is slowed down the this is what the guy is saying, slow down the Conor McGregor hype train. Slow down the Conor McGregor hype train. What do you, and then I realized I'm surrounded by true believers. Will a cynical opportunist among you please raise your fucking hand? Come on. Oh, the Conor McGregor hype train is slowed. Maybe we're the crazy ones. Maybe that's what's happening. So he should have a better negotiating hand with Conor McGregor, because Conor McGregor, I go, Conor McGregor marches into the Baldwin's office and goes, "We did it. We breathed life into the possibility of a lot. You know, I bought vulnerability. And he's so quick at adjusting. How come he didn't adjust? How come he didn't adjust that way? Is that, oh, for a second, you can tell me, this is like stinking breath. Is that crazy? Not the idea that he purchased vulnerability, but the idea of acting like you purchased vulnerability. It seems to me to be a pretty clever stratagem, a really clever stratagem. But anyway, he didn't use it. Now I want to compare and contrast that with Johnny Boney Johnny. Johnny Boney Johnny. Have you been catching the press conference act with Johnny Boney Johnny? The belief is not part of the Johnny Boney Johnny equation. I don't believe belief is part of Johnny Boney Johnny's equation. You know what? Because my spies in New Mexico tell me things that are completely disheartening about Johnny Boney Johnny's crew, the guys he hangs with and rolls with. Now, my spies said, you know, all this stuff you see on, you know, Johnny Boney Johnny's Twitter feed about him being clean and sober and him being, look, I'm not going to libel anybody by saying that that's not true. I'm just telling you what I've been told. And one of the things I've been told is that might be so much window dressing. All that means to me is Johnny Boney Johnny is not long for, you know, for the stage that we're interested in seeing him on, which increases the valence of his to-dos in the cage the next few. I mean, in other words, if you knew that you would only see 2 or 3 more Jon Jones fights, I'm going to increase the importance of those 2 or 3 fights that you saw. Now, if you're going to ask me at 27, where is Johnny Boney Jr. going to be at 31, 32? So, man, I don't know. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and what I said to my spy, as long as the guy is not using illegal narcotics or performance-enhancing drugs, I don't give a shit how much he drinks. Unless he drives. Now, maybe he's got the app on his phone, the Uber and the Lyft thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Uber driver's not driving up in Bentleys. It could happen. If I had a Bentley, I would certainly become a Lyft driver. Why? Just to fuck with people. You show up in this is a pretty nice car. Yeah. I got it when I got my first mill. I should have probably been smarter about it. Oh, I'm sorry. If you can actually afford a Bentley, what are you doing driving around? I just like to fuck with people. And then you get that quiet moment, like when I was talking to David Yow, he's like, what is wrong with you black people? And then he gets my spies, but you watch him at these press conferences with Daniel Cormier, and you can see the head battle. And believe me, I was much more impressed with Conor McG's head battle when I thought it came from here, that place. You remember? This is no belief in self. This is, most people exist in that 50% range, you know? And then you have from 50% to 100, from 50% to 100, you have the real visionaries, the ones who see things that aren't there. So I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to win Mr. Olympia. You got to understand, before I got to 120, I existed for most of my life, hovered around the 90 to 100% zone. And I can't tell you exactly when I had my road to Damascus moment and I took the jump from 100 to 120%, but I can, that cat's eating something. Okay. Yeah, but I can tell you that it probably happened. I remember very specific. I remember very specifically when I had my road to Damascus moment. And I remember telling Dr. Steve Ballinger, the guy who I go to for medical advice on the show, I remember telling him, I said, you know, you quietly embrace self. It's great. It's super healthy. Like when Hitler came down off this mountaintop, he was a new, renewed individual. You know, Paul to Saul. A lot of these guys have these transformative mountaintop moments. And I had one. And I can tell you, Jesus, I can tell you right when it was. My kid was about 5. My oldest kid was about 5 years old. She's 19 now. Please do the math for me. 14 years ago. And all I could think of to say to explain it was, it has to do with quiet embrace of self. And I noticed, historically speaking, it's great for the individual, bad for single-handedly everybody around this individual. So when you look at somebody like a Johnny Boney Joni, I mean, what I'm seeing is, especially insofar as he faces off with DC. And DC is a friend of Knuckle Up. You know, I love DC. But they're essentially fighting two different fights. And Jones starred the day that he got the call that he lost the belt. And it picked up steam. It picked up steam after he learned that he would just be on probation. I mean, it reminds me of that Key and Peele sketch, the UFC Key and Peele sketch, where the one guy says about the other, oh, he does realize this is just a joke, right? For the drum of interest in the fight. No, it's no joke, buddy. And Johnny Boy Jr. said to himself, he goes, you know, the first fight I was just fighting to win. Now I'm fighting to hurt you. He goes, or he said this, I'm paraphrasing now. Where do you think this road is going? You're 37 years old. I'm 27. There is literally no way for you to beat me. And so, you know, Javier, great fight strategist, Javier Mendez at AKA, you know, Kane's got back problems, but that doesn't really do it. He brought in a guy who's 6'10". And this guy's like, oh, John is John at me, you know, okay. Under normal circumstances, I would make the claim that this was a Conor McG 100% belief moment. But in actual fact, I see Johnny Boney Joni as a cynical opportunist. And you know, his cynical opportunism has allowed himself to flex his way into the 120% belief in self zone. I mean, there are always mitigating factors. You could say, well, you know, guy works with somebody who's 6'10", and, you know, gets used to my height and the range, figures out how to get shots over the top. And sadly, I can't see the fucking fight live. God damn it. Oxbow has 4 shows in April. April 2nd in Portland, April 3rd in Seattle. As usual, anybody who listens to the show, you fight fans, you get in the guest list, you get in for free. You just got to text me. You got to take a test. I quiz you to make sure you're not trying to game the system. April 16th at a art gallery in San Francisco called The Lab. And then April 23rd at the PRF Festival in Oakland. And I keep saying, hey, man, can we play the, you know, it runs from the 22nd to the 24th. Can we play Friday? Because, well, I kind of got you guys scheduled to play Saturday. Great. Can we play earlier? Well, I kind of got you guys headlining. But God damn it. I said, hey, man. He goes, well, if there's an internet there, we got internet there. So you could, I go, I got to see this fight live. I got to see, you know, I go to some place that you said, well, we end at 8:30. And I go, oh, that's great. That means you start right at fucking prime time. You're just fucking with my life. And the guy was like, man, I said, find out from somebody on the support staff at the festival who lives close to there. If they've got cable, we'll do pay-per-view there. We'll go back and forth. He goes, I'll ask. 4 days goes by. Hey, man, what'd you find out? No response. He's like, well, don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me, please. Yeah, I played shows before. I'll play shows again. That's great. I want to be there to see the fight live. Well, not live, but, you know, live time. He doesn't, if you get a guy who's got a short-term orientation about himself, his life, his game, what does he give a fuck about this guy? I said it before, and I'm renewing my saying it before by saying it again. I'm worried for DC. I'm worried. Oh, there could be an upset. Yeah, there could be. Yep. Don't call me. Don't tell me that the Nate McG thing was an upset. That shit was not an upset. There was only one guy upset about that upset. Yeah, and all those people dressed like leprechauns. You know, I like it. NLP style, neuro-linguistic programming. Connor says it is so, therefore it must be so. I like it. But that belief was a sounding board. When you look at it Zapruder style, when you look at his relationship to the audience and his belief system in himself, you have a full-blown understanding of the fact that these were, you know, that this was like, man, this is, what is it, the General George Custer thing, you know, oh man, we're going to kick those Indians' asses today. And no, you're not. You know, like somebody texted me that Chris Weidman says that his loss the first time to Rocco was a fluke. A fluke? The fuck out of here, a fluke. I'm not hearing anybody else on your team second that, man. In fact, I'm hearing you doing the talking, Mr. Weidman. I'm hearing you doing the talking. I'm not hearing Ray Longo and not Matty Sarah, that either they're working and not talking, or they're not talking and not working. So, you know, I mean, it would be a nice dream. It would be a nice dream to see DC do a Boss Rutan. Boss Rutan went up against Kevin Randleman and actually won that fight, but Boss Rutan never fought again. Kevin, and he looked terrible. Yeah, that was a tough fight for him. Kevin Randleman's a tough guy. Was a tough guy. Rest in peace. So you got, what do you got? So you got, you know, Jon Jones, like the text I had said, you know, he's like, guy you're doing coke with, and the guy says, hey, you want to turn it up? You go, this guy seems to be a cool guy. We're having fun. You go, yeah, shit, let's turn it up. He goes, great. And he pulls out a revolver and goes, let's play some Russian roulette. Yeah, that guy. Believe me, if DC was less of a true believer, and that's what's, I mean, DC is, we're talking, this is essentially the subtitle of this show is True Believer versus Cynical Opportunist. DC is a true believer. These titles don't apply to anybody from 209, however. They really don't. So, I mean, you know, if you're from 209, it's just a different thing. I mean, because it's very binary for your existence there. You know, guys in the 209 will still go to parties and fuck with the Diaz's. Why? The guy who told me that, Javier Mendez's cousin, who lives in Stockton, or Tracy, which is right next to Stockton, he was, when I asked why people would go to parties in Stockton and Tracy and start fights with the Diaz brothers, he looked at me like I was crazy. It's like asking me why heat is hot. So Johnny Boney Jr. is Yeah, he could get stopped. But the jungle doesn't want this. The jungle doesn't want this. The jungle wants him to put away DC, make a move to heavyweight, and let Rumble chase him to heavyweight if he wants, or let Rumble take the remnants of what's left at light heavyweight. I mean, maybe out of personal curiosity, he'll fight Rumble again. Maybe he'll fight Rumble as a heavyweight, which would be a queens to rook knight 3 clever tri-level chess move that would absolutely positively fuck Rumble. Was like, yeah, you know what? I'm the king, the once and future king. I don't see anybody threatening. Why'd you fight Gustafsson again and Rumble again? I go, well, I want to fight those bums. I'm done with this division. I'm going to move to heavyweight. If Rumble wants to fight me, he can come to heavyweight. No fight he has at heavyweight until he fights Verdum is worth a good goddamn. So Rumble would, yeah, he gets the payday. He opens his hand for scant gain. The question is, can you keep a cynical opportunist engaged in a place where the money is thin? And believe me, in light heavyweight, the money is thin. Everybody's watching McG figuring out, oh, I see. There is cash there. The bald one is just not giving it to us. How do we get it? By driving numbers. How were we trying to drive numbers before? Fighting great fights. That clearly is not part of it. You have to create the illusion that the fight will be great and people pay for that. And then you can support the illusion by fighting a great fight or lose a great fight, also supporting the illusion. What you cannot do is fight a Corey Anderson fight. Sorry. I just ate like about half a pound of cheese before I started the show. So you know, the thing is, this is what cynical opportunism gets you. The world is Johnny Boney Joni's oyster. All that, you know, the crew of guys he's hanging out with, you know, he's kind of in that great Mike Tyson, even if he's doing stand-up comedy 10 years from now. I'm not saying he has it made necessarily, but the guy's affable. He's if you think of Jon Bone Jones and you don't get caught up in the squandering the career, hanging out with a bad crowd, doing stupid shit, son of a preacher, and you get into the tweeting and deleting, you get into I will literally kill you, you get into you're a pussy, I'm gonna fuck you. When you get into, I mean, there's certain kind of taunt that's cool, that's funny, Chael and Conor McGregor, and there's this shit that just goes into the turn it up, let's play Russian roulette category. You know, now, in regards to, let's just call him RONDA-TATE. RONDA-TATE. Or we could say RONDA-TATE. RONDA-TATE. Because the futures of Honda, and Misha are now inextricably woven. Because nobody wants to see Holly back in the mix right before the inevitable happens, which is that either Honda is finally dispatched to the great beyond by Susan Lucci, also known as Misha Tate. Look up Susan Lucci if you don't know what that means. Or we show that nobody's heavier than Russia, and she loses to Ronda again. Done, over and done. At that point, you know, so the valence of this fight is super high. It means somebody will die. So let's just call him RONDA-TATE. RONDA-TATE. Mishauzi. They're the same person now. Somebody is ending a career at the next outing. If Ronda wins, Miesha's done. If Miesha wins, Ronda will not have what it takes in the head, even though the Baldwin will push, and even though the money is there, to re-engage with a Holly. Why? Because now she got to spend time getting ready for Miesha, when really what she should be doing is spending her time, all of her extra time, getting ready for Holly Holm. She still got to fight Holly. I don't give a shit what happens. She still got to fight Holly. That's it. Still got to fight Holly. It doesn't go anywhere else with that. Which is precisely why somebody like Alexander Gustafsson is fucking is Major Tom. He's not out of the top 5, but this guy's not a player. Ground control to Major Tom. It's the Mauler. It's Houston Mauler. Yeah. Hey man. Yes, sir. Can you get my coordinates? Sorry. Coordinates. 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 And the little snaps and he floats off in the fucking deep space. Man, that's some hard fucking reality. You know, you just thought about Alexander Gustafsson. You just thought about him. I mentioned him. You just thought about him. You ever think of what it must be like to be Alexander Gustafsson? He woke up today just like you woke up today. Padded to the bathroom, took a piss, and thought, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do? Me, Alex to planet Earth. What's on the agenda for today? Nothing. Fucking nothing. This sport is unforgiving. Unforgiving. So between RONDA-TATE and Holly, Holly's got it much better. Now you got the bald one talking crap about Holly. Oh, she should be there. No, you know who's the happiest guy in the world is? I've never seen him happy. I've never ever seen him happy. I saw Kogan yesterday. I saw his teeth for the first time. I didn't even know Kogan had teeth. I know he was putting his mouthpiece around something. I didn't know they were teeth. He was like, didn't move the needle. Didn't move the needle. Didn't move the needle. The biggest of all time. Yeah, it goes back to the bald one saying Nate Diaz didn't move the needle. He was outraged. The biggest fight of all time. I guess that's some needle mover. He walked in to Sorrel. He walked out laughing the whole way. I've never seen that guy's teeth before. Happy as a pig in shit. So he said, so the guy in the shirt dog was right about the bald one. How come the bald one? Why is this man not smiling? Is this miserable cusp? He's out there whining and moaning and groaning about, why is Holly coming into meetings without her? Why is this manager who's not serving her well? She doesn't know how much she's lost. She hasn't lost fucking anything. She hasn't lost anything. If you guys get, nobody gives it that Chris Weidman is a fucking 13-1. Who's a fuck about that? If the 10 fights were dog fights, nobody cares. There's people not caring. Nate Diaz, he's got 500,000. He's a 20-10 fighter. It does. Randy Couture, what was Randy's record? Losses are not an automatic disqualifier. As far as I'm concerned, Holly can get to where she needs to be faster than RONDA-TATE will ever be. I mean, what does Holly have to do to not get you? Are you saying she was dominated by Misha? No. What does she have to do to not get caught 30 seconds from the end of the 5th round again? Much less than Ronda has to do to keep from getting her head kicked off in the 2nd round by Holly. So Holly is in a great position. Johnny Boney Joni, is in a great position. Last week, I was prepared to say that McG was in a great position, but I can see that he's insane. Zero belief in self, 50% where most of the planet is. Where is that? 100%? No, come on, I gotta be. Hold on, let's do this. 0%, 50%, 100%. And then Eugene Robinson action over here, 120% belief in self. You know why? It's not that I'm that great. Let me tell you, it's not that I can't sport this 120% belief in self because of it has nothing to do with belief. You understand that? If it's just about belief for you, you're just a true believer. You're just at 100% whatever finger that was. No, I think that was there somewhere. Yeah, that's right there. This is 50%. It's for me. It's less about belief and thinking, what are my options? I'm an award-winning journalist. I've won McG awards. I've won Ozzy awards, the National Magazine Awards. Magazines I've done have won SPDs, Society of Professional Designers. I got a wall full of jiu-jitsu trophies. What you know? What to win winning the MMA Journalist of the Year? It's not belief. What are my options? To not win it? Okay. I don't win it and set myself aflame. But me not winning means somebody else won, and I have to look at the guy who won and goes, he's better than me? Well, clearly he's better than you because he won. Yeah, okay. Well, fortunately, we're not in a cage. And even if we were, I would say, how do you get to 120%? There's no other choice. And it's not about belief. Conor McGregor, can he get from the 100% belief to the 120%? Part of it starts with him doubling down. And because I can tell you first off and right away immediately, you double down, and what happens? It's a drug. It's NLP, instead of turned outward, it turned inward. I'm not, but it's even different because I'm not talking myself into anything. I remember being once in the hills, naked, running around, seeing all kinds of colors. And I remember looking out over the bay, and I was going, I got to get down out of this hill. Well, there were mountain lions in the hill. That's not why I thought I got to get out of this hill. Night was falling, and I was getting a little cold. I got to get out of this hill, and they're waiting for me. I'm a captain of industry. My voice makes nations tremble. My word trips up economies in several Mediterranean nations. I am the shit. And I grabbed my shoes and walked shoeless and with scant shorts on and no shirt out of these hills. Atlas returned. Now, I'm sure you're listening to this going, Eugene, that just sounds like you had a nervous breakdown and lost your mind. Whatever. After getting beaten by a Nate Diaz, I'd be in a much better position than Conor McG, who's now sitting at home thinking, like Conjo Gear, my friend Damien Norkabosh used to run this company called Conjo Gear. And his tagline was, when guts is not enough. I was like, when is that? Unless you're George Custer, when is that? It's pretty much been enough sometimes. Self-reflection and doubt can ruin the life for the true believer. It'll never ruin the cynical opportunist. And once you get by that 100%, you don't even call those guys cynical. Is Eugene S. Robinson, is he a cynical opportunist? No, when you get to 120%, it's like that movie Lawnmower Man. You cease existing in the physical form. It's like you're floating out in outer space, plasma. That's where he's got to get to. And if it's a touch button to park that can get him there, which I doubt, fine. Anyway, I'm looking forward to. I said I was going to start talking about this upcoming this fight coming up next weekend. Yes, I did say I was going to talk about that, and yes, I have not spoken about it. We're going to do it on If I Did It, and we're going to do it on the Care Don't Care preview. Frank Mir, interesting, but probably for fans only. I mean, do you know anybody? Are you going to rush out? You see what I'm saying? So we're going to catch it on If I Did It. We're going to catch it on the Care Don't Care preview later on this week. But I see you guys hung in there to the end. We're cruising up the end. Would you like me to go into, again, the suitcase theorem? Do you understand enough what I was talking about when I talked about the suitcase theorem? I didn't give it as much time as it deserved in last week's show. Anyway, this is round number 324. I am your host, Eugene S. Robinson. This will be up for the rest of the world who who doesn't want to watch from the luxury of their Sunday homes and watch it Monday. But we'll see in a couple days. If I did it, care don't care. See you next week with Knuckle Up, for sure, guaranteed. Look what you made me do!